Welcome to another episode of Jumping Into the Unknown. I've always wondered, if you know you're jumping into the unknown, doesn't that make the unknown known? I don't know. Anyway, in this episode we're talking all things comfort, and I'm not talking about the comfort on the washing machine. I'm talking about if you're stuck in a rut, if you're doing the same things over and over again, getting little results, then you may be stuck in the comfort zone. How do you get out of it? Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Friday again. Jeez, the weeks are absolutely flying. I actually can't believe how fast it's going. It's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, Friday again. Maybe that's because I'm sleeping too much, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. If anyone else is flying out there, you're not alone. In this episode, guys, I want to talk about the comfort zone. Comfort zone is something that is, I suppose, I struggle with a lot to come out of. But once I did come out of it, my whole world just opened up. And people are fine stuck in the comfort zone. You know, a lot of people are. But there's a lot of people that aren't either, and they don't realise maybe that they're in it. You know, we tend to live our lives for the weekend. You know, there's a lot of people out there who just hate getting up in the morning to their jobs, and they're just living for the weekend. And it's not a nice way to live your life, you know. And there's people out there who love their job. Don't get me wrong, people who love their job. If you do, good for you. I'm kind of pointing this more towards the people who I suppose are looking to make some change. Let me start off by identifying what the comfort zone is. Basically, like, the comfort zone is nothing more than a psychological state, okay? It's like where things feel maybe familiar, or you're at ease, or you're in control of your environment, at least you think you are. You're experiencing pretty much low levels of like anxiety and stress, okay? So it is, like, the comfort zone is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not making it out to be a bad thing. Comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And if you're looking to change any aspect of your life, whatever it is, be it your health and fitness, your mindset, you know, traveling or experiencing something new, whatever it is that you're looking to change in your life, you have to come out of that bubble. You have to come out of that comfort zone and jump into the unknown and take those risks that will change your life. For me, and I can only talk about myself now in this situation because you're your own best example, but for me, stepping outside the comfort zone was something that I struggled with for a long, long time. You know, I talked about it briefly in episode 1, overcoming fears, and that was really it for me, overcoming that fear of making any kind of change in my life, whether it was with my health, my fitness, whatever it was. But I was just living in a comfort zone every day for about 4 years. About 4 years. I was doing the same shit, the same routine every single day. And it wasn't supporting me or helping me in any way, but it did feel good. You know, like, it felt good not having to do anything and just being lazy around the house the whole time. But then on the flip side of that, as a result of it, my physical health took a hit. My mental health took a knock. You know, I knew something had to be done because I was going down a road that was, even though it was comfortable, it was leading and would have led to disaster. And the more I think about it, like, the reason people are stuck in this bubble, stuck in this comfort zone, aside from the fact that it's obviously feels safe and familiar and it's comfortable, is the fact that I suppose people have this fear of getting comfortable outside the comfort zone. So basically expanding the comfort zone, if that makes sense. Because once you make that leap, once you put your body through that stress and you change up your routine and change up your daily lives, once you do that, it's about being comfortable then and making that the new norm, if that makes sense. So that was something that I learned to master over the last couple of years, that making yourself comfortable after you make the leap to change your life. And again, there are a lot of you out there who love the life you're living, love everything that's going on in it, and great. This isn't aimed at you guys. This is aimed more so for the people who do want to make a bit of change in their lives. And quarantine is the time to do it, whether it's to read a new book, whether it's to discipline yourself to get up in the morning early and go work out, whatever it is that you're looking to make a little bit of change in your life so that you can get different results, then that's who they're the people I'm looking at. But it's not easy. You know, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. It's not easy. And I remember when I first did it, so if anyone who's followed my journey up to this point, episode 1, overcoming fears, to the Ticket in LA episode 2 one, that was the big leap for me. And when you step outside that comfort zone, when you change your routine, something that's been working or hasn't been working for you for years, but it felt so comfortable, when you change that and come outside of that bubble, your mind can go into overdrive, and literally that's when people get so much anxiety. And that's when your mind, if you don't look after it, that's when it comes back to hit you. So meditation, I talked about this before. Meditation has been something that has been the real core, I suppose, to help me calm my mind when essentially we're going to overdrive, you know. I've stuck in that bubble for 4 years. So you can imagine coming outside of that, your mind is like, what the fuck's going on? But a lot of people have asked me what app I use. And I don't use an app as such, you know. I'm like, YouTube. You know, whatever results you're looking for, YouTube, everything's so easy in life right now. You've got Google there. If you're looking for positive thoughts, you say guided meditation for, I prefer the guided meditation as opposed to just playing background music, but it's guided meditation for positive thoughts. Whatever it is, guided meditation is still the mind. 15-minute nap, guided meditation. Any sort of meditation, as long as it's a daily routine or it's, repetitive, that's the key here. Like, think of it this way. We're trying to change our mind. We're trying to, change the way we think, because if you look back at the evolutionary past, anything that was different or unusual was perceived as danger or a threat, right? But thankfully we're in different times now. We're in 2020. We don't need to prepare ourselves for war like that. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is that, anything that we do differently or in our environment or our surroundings, anything that's unusual to our mind, has always been perceived as danger or a threat in the hunter-gatherer years. So it's only natural, I suppose, that if we go and make change in our lives, that our brain kicks up a fuss, comes up with all sorts of excuses. Oh, I'm too tired to work out, or not sure I want to go there. What's going to happen if I can't make friends? What will people think of me? Yada, yada. And that part of the brain, like, was so useful back in the hunter-gatherer years because it was essential for survival. That fight or flight mode that the body goes into and outside the comfort zone. And once you understand that and understand how and why it works that way, only then can you own it and control it. Like a daily practice of meditation did and still does that for me today. It's just, even though now I've become comfortable outside my comfort zone, I still need to challenge myself, still need to set more goals and I suppose push yourself a bit more every day to become the best possible version of you. And again, I fall victim to that sometimes because I'm not as active as I should be in terms of doing that because I've just become so comfortable outside the comfort zone. So it just expanded basically. And that's something that I'm working on my own personal development, I suppose. And again, it's a lot easier said than done to make that change. Even to just decide to make it can be hard sometimes. You might go on a week or 2 weeks feeling very good that you've done it, but then go right back to old ways again. So to sustain it long term is very, very difficult. I can only say what worked for me, and that was the meditation. I said I'd expand on it, so I think I have. Next point I suppose I want to talk about is the friends and the people you meet outside of the comfort zone. They're a lot different to the ones that are now your best friends, or so-called best friends. Because generally when you step outside that comfort zone and make change and take on new routines and new challenges, you open yourself up to a whole new circle of friends. And it's vitally important that you choose your mates wisely because, it's almost like going into battle. You want your best mates by your side, the ones who have your back at a time when your mind is so vulnerable. You're after making that very brave decision, the very important leap into the unknown. You're outside your comfort zone. You're still not sure how things are going to work out, if they even will, but hats off for doing it. So if you surround yourself with friends that question why you're doing what you're doing, or talk little of you, or cut you down, then doubt starts to come back into your brain and you're like, should I be doing this? Or that's when you find yourself back in that zone again, back where it all started, because your so-called friends didn't believe in you, and you value their opinion more than you value your own, even though it's not their lives but yours. And this topic is so close to my heart. You must surround yourself with good people and people that support you and your end goal. It's the only hope you have of staying on track and sticking to your word, because remember, you're not quite comfortable there yet. You're not at home. You've just stepped outside the comfort zone. It's still new territory for you, and if something good was to happen, if that girl you liked commented on your post or said hello to you in the gym, then you'd smile away at yourself and be like, this isn't too bad. But if someone was to say, dude, what the fuck are you at? Go back to where you started from, then you'd be like, yeah, you know what, he's probably right. And immediately you start questioning yourself. And that's where you need good friends. You need friends that understand that when you make change in your life, it has nothing got to do with them. And whether it works out or not, who gives a fuck? The most important thing is that you tried and your mates didn't think any less of you. I love the approach of having 5 friends, having 5 good people in your life, because you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. And everyone else's opinion outside of that doesn't mean shit to you. Even those who are in your circle and the ones who know you best, if they think you're making a mistake, they will tell you, let them tell you, because it's coming from a place of love. But no matter what, they will stand by you. It's your decision at the end of the day. And they're the people you need in your life. Old friends or new, it doesn't matter as long as they have your best interest at heart. Like, it's not a popularity game. And there's so many young people out there saying, I've got more friends than you. And look, we all did it growing up, like, how many friends have you have? And, we're in the real world now. You're up with the big dogs now, kid. Yeah, you're up with the man-made Irish dogs. It's not a popularity game. It's about challenging yourself, seeing what you're made of, seeing how far you can go, even if it means to the point where you're lost. Who gives a fuck? No one in life has it all figured out, and those who tell you they have it all figured out have lived in the comfort zone their whole lives. Again, it's beautiful, but nothing ever grows there. This brings me on to my next point. If you want things that you've never had, you must do things you've never done. And whether that's building that new physique, wanting to live abroad for a year or two, wanting a completely different career change because you're not happy in the one that you're in, you're only in it for the money. Whatever it is, all change requires sacrifice. It requires swapping that old routine for the new routine. And with that comes worry, comes anxiety. And I love the quote from Mark Twain. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. People worry so much, including myself. And when you think about it, it's like the word fear, false evidence appearing real. And it's just, we spend a massive part of our lives worrying about a certain someone or a certain event in our lives that we literally have no control over. And we need to learn to let that go. Something you've no control of, you need to learn to let it go, because it's only ruining, I suppose, the present moment and future moments to come. It's putting out bad energy there. How can you expect anything good to happen in your life if you're living in a state of worry and anxiety the whole time? How can you expect to attract good stuff into your life if all you can think about is bad thoughts and worry? So you need to come out of that state. And I'm very guilty of it sometimes, and I have been in the past, but we're getting better day by day. Again, this goes back to the hunter-gatherer years, back to our evolutionary past. If something doesn't feel right, if something is a little off, our fight or flight mode kicks in, our mind kicks in, because we've been programmed that way, essentially. So it's about owning that and controlling it. Find a solution, fix the problem. Worry and anxiety goes hand in hand, I think. Like, when you think about it, we're the only species on this planet who has the ability to invade or anticipate our future. David Attenborough couldn't have said it better. We are the only species on planet Earth that has the ability to invade or anticipate our future. Like, we literally work ourselves up for nothing to the point where it's ruining the moment or the future. And by learning that all we have is now, all we have is the present moment, you can see that everything outside this moment, past or future events, are out of our control. Learn to let it go. Our brains are so complex. Like, they could be your best friend or your worst enemy. They're almost like guard dogs. Like Rottweiler guard dogs. Like, if you mind it and you care for it and look after it, it will serve you for a lifetime. But on the flip side, if you mistreat it or you don't look after it, it'll come back to bite you. It can harm you, and it can even kill you. And when you're stepping outside the comfort zone, this is when you need to protect it the most. Nourish it with the meditation I talked about earlier to calm it down. Fill it with positive thoughts and consume the positive information, because when you're not looking after your mind, it won't look after you. It would affect you when, I suppose, you start to do the things in life that we say getting your shit together. When you start focusing on your dream or getting that house you want, the perfect life or your perfect job, that's when the worry will kick in, and you'll start telling yourself, oh, you're not good enough, or you don't look good, or you'll never meet the right person in life, or you don't have enough money. This is where the anxiety kicks in. So it's vital important that you look after it, especially when you make the leap to change, because that's when your mind is most vulnerable. If you don't give it the skills it needs, if you don't nourish it, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And you might ask why? Like, why do we have to train the mind? Why do we have to discipline it? And it comes down to this. It's as basic and simple as this. You're just preparing it for when life gets you down, when life hits you hard. It's training it to stay calm, to think, to regroup and get back out there. Because no matter what you do in life, if you open up your own business, no matter what you're at, life is going to give you an almighty challenge or a hit at some point in your life. And if your mind isn't ready to deal with that, if your mind isn't prepared to look for different options or different routes, then you're just going to cripple up and, like disaster and break down. And that's where the real seriousness happens. So it's about, I suppose, trying to prevent that. Okay, so now that we know meditation is a key factor in terms of calming the mind and controlling thoughts, a lot of fitness coaches will now tell you that along comes a training program and nutrition. And that's very important, especially in terms of controlling your emotions and your anxiety. Certain foods can trigger anxiety, and it's important to, I suppose, find the source of that and find what really works for you. There's a really good book that you should check out. It's called The Fitness Mindset by Brian Keane. It's a great read for anyone looking to make change in their kind of mental aspect or changing their physique. There's kind of two parts to it. So great read, and I'd recommend that book. But the next thing I want to talk about is discipline outside the comfort zone, because this is where I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship. It requires time and patience. It's a daily process, and I'm guilty of falling behind sometimes, when you get caught doing something. And this happened to me, especially in New York. I'm not sure if anyone listened to the episode about New York, Empire State of Mind, episode 3. It's where I talked about like how you can be so busy sometimes. And like there was times there where I had 3 or 4 events on in the one day. Like, it got hectic. And I remember one Wednesday after the event, I was off for the evening. I was just feeling exhausted and I could barely focus on the movie. It was my night